Sean Combs is in prison. He's in New York. I believe he might be locked up. And again, I realize we're going from talking about abolishing prisons to talking about someone who probably should be in one. That irony is not lost on me. But I would also argue that we would never allow an abuser like Diddy to get this fucking big and be so unaccountable once we actually have once we actually hold people with power to account. However, this week, psycho rap mogul, his ex-girlfriend Cassie testified in court at Diddy's hearing because Diddy is facing, I believe, 5 federal charges of sex trafficking and sexual assault. And Cassie has been in court. She is very pregnant. She's her third child, and she's been testifying to what has been going on, like what was going on, what happened. And without sort of reading all of the intense back and forth of this case, basically she was kept in an abusive relationship for 11 years. She was subjected to all kinds of, again, sexual assault, drug addiction. She did a lot of ketamine, apparently, opiates, to basically deal with the amount of trauma that she was living in, being with Diddy and being subjected to his like psychotic sex parties, where he hired male escorts to have sex with his girlfriend, who he then probably told he loved. And it did massive psychological damage to her. This was as recently as 2018. She had suicidal thoughts as recently as 2023 is when she actually decided to seek help for all of this. She decided to speak out for it. 2024, last year, was when we saw the video of Sean Combs punching, dragging, and abusing Cassie in a hotel room in Los Angeles. That was surveillance footage that was made available. And it's been a wild ride. The craziest part about the story also is she testified that in 2018, when she finally broke up with him, I think they were dating in 2009. This had been going on for, again, a decade. When she broke up with him, she said it was a cordial breakup. They talked, they went out to dinner. Then he drove her home and then he raped her. So, real stand-up guy, utter piece of shit. And because pieces of shit like to stick together, Sean Combs is now asking yet another sexual abuser, convicted sexual abuser. What was it, $98 million of a settlement? Sexual abuser, Donald Trump also happens to be president somehow, asking him for some help. Now, this makes all the sense in the world. Sean Combs' allies are actively working for a Trump pardon. This makes all the sense in the world. Why? Because Eric Adams looking for a pardon from Donald Trump, in fact, has gotten his case largely dismissed, despite all of the prosecutors who are resigning because they refuse to not pursue this case against Eric Adams for bribery. So no, but it worked for him because he made a deal with Trump. He's like, you can run roughshod all over the people in New York City, lock them up. I don't give a shit. Tom Homan is my, I will work for him and I will sacrifice the people of New York. And in exchange, he got a deal. He's being held by the DOJ over it. And somehow this is not everyday news. Right? So, of course, Diddy is actually asking Donald Trump for the same treatment. Longtime Combs associates have spent months cozying up to Trump officials to lay groundwork for clemency pleas. And we've seen the photos of them. Diddy and Trump kind of, came up in the same tacky ass, objectifying women in worlds, right? One in the music world, trying to control young talent like Cassie, and then one in the real estate beauty pageant world, Donald Trump. Similar things, similar worlds. They've got many, many photos together. Earlier this week, this is from the Rolling Stone, The Onion ran a piece Headline, Sean Combs asked for a quick trial so he can get to the part where Trump pardons him. It may be onto something. Combs, who was charged last September, is currently on trial in the Southern District of New York on sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy charges. But starting after Donald Trump won the presidential election in November, close associates of the mogul got to work on cozying up to Trump land. During the presidential transition and in the opening months of Trump's second administration, several longtime friends and allies of Combs who've known the rapper for many years began reaching out to some Trump transition and administration officials, as well as to others close to the president. Two sources familiar with the matter and another person briefed on it tell Rolling Stone. The sources spoke on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the situation and on the conditions that Rolling Stone not name certain individuals involved with them. Quote, he's willing to do anything to get out of jail, a source who has known Combs for a decade tells Rolling Stone. He's always been this way. He's always going to do what he has to do to get out of a situation. He doesn't even like Donald Trump, they add. The sources described the conversations as ongoing and preliminary, with one of the people familiar with that matter characterizing it as Diddy world making connections with Trump's team. Spokesperson for Combs did not return Rolling Stone's request for comment, nor did the White House. To those on both sides of these conversations, the point is obvious. People who've known the rapper producer for years are ingratiating themselves to individuals who have the president's ear, in the hopes that this lays the groundwork and sets up senior level lines of communication if Team Combs needs to plead for a pardon or commutation. I mean, I don't know what Diddy could offer Trump. Maybe some of his homes. Like, hey, do you want the place where I abuse people? Would you like a bottle of lube? I got a lot of those. I'm not really sure what he could offer Trump at this point, right? I mean, Eric Adams is currently the mayor. Blackmailing him seems a little bit more advantageous. Sam Bankman-Fried, again, I believe also in the same facility as Combs and I think Luigi Mangione. Sam Bankman-Fried also is definitely trying to get a deal. He was already sentenced, though, so we'll see on this. But, if it means that it gives any more credence to Trump's meme coin being legit or that anything in the crypto world is legit, we're going to see it happen. So every disgusting abuser, high-level white-collar criminal crook is going to do this. This is what they're going to try to do. And including you've got Andrew Tate coming back to the States, being welcomed with open arms because he's a real alpha male. If Team Combs needs to plead for a pardon or commutation, there's no evidence that Trump is personally aware of any of these conversations, and the president has not publicly weighed in on Combs' criminal charges or prosecution. But the number of senior Trump officials who are aware of it have expressed deep reservations about commuting a possible Combs sentence, given the severity of the charges. One of Combs' close associates have some experience with presidential pardons and commutations. Corey Jacobs, a senior advisor to Combs and trusted friend from his teenage years, walked free from prison when then President Barack Obama granted him clemency in December 2016. He had been serving a life sentence for drug charges. Combs said, okay, I guess that was Obama. So, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me. Combs has had his life on the line too. He's desperate to be released from the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. He's moved for a speedy trial, turned down a plea deal, and pleaded not guilty to the 5 federal counts against him. If convicted, he faces 15 years to life in prison. During the private outreach to members of the Trump's government and social orbit, Combs' allies have tried to paint the rapper's prosecution in decidedly Trumpian terms, playing to the Republican vision of the president as a martyr and a perennial victim. In their telling, he and Trump are both successful businessmen and controversial celebrities who've been unfairly targeted by the feds and prosecutors in the Southern District of New York. They have each had to deal with a barrage of sexual assault allegations, and each insists they are false. The words deep state came up once or twice, said one of the sources familiar with the outreach. Oh God, the deep state is after Combs. So first of all, what's interesting is a few months ago, P. Diddy was also claiming that it was racism that it was taking him down. It's like, no, buddy, it's your victims. It's your victims who are finally speaking out. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was the LAPD getting a hold of that surveillance video of you brutalizing your girlfriend. And you got to wonder, they knew this stuff was going on. Of course they've known shit was going on with Diddy right? And so it's only when the LAPD had surveillance video that got released that everyone saw, they were like, I guess we got to do something, right? Again, this is in a very post Me Too backlash time. And so the fact that he was even detained and even has a case against him now shows just the scope and the gravity of what he did and the amount of people. Cassie is one of, I think, 5 defendants, victims of Combs, who are going to come forward and are going to speak. She's obviously the most high profile person, being a singer herself, which another aspect of all of this is like, I loved Cassie's music. Cassie's only had like 1 or 2 major banger hits, and in part because she testified to the fact that she had all of these unreleased songs because Diddy was also her producer. He was controlling her in her career and also basically, made her a slave to his, like, again, disgusting sexual proclivities. Which is so funny that he's like, well, the racism card didn't work because nobody's really buying that. Now let's go with the deep state card. I love Diddy, Trump said in an Apprentice episode. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy, he adds, before asking a contestant and former artist for Combs, Aubrey O'Day, a singer in Danity Kane, is he a good guy? Quote, I don't want to answer that question, she responded, to which the future president said that he's going to stick up for him anyway. For years, O'Day alluded to the alleged Combs misconduct. The answer to what happens if you don't do what executives want, I'm the full-blown story of that, she said on Instagram. Again, that's former Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day, hinting that she will testify also in Combs' trial in the coming weeks. Combs has also been an outward fan of Trump's over the years. Trump's been spotted at parties, including the birthday bashes on Combs' 2006 track We Gon' Make It. Combs name drops his fellow mogul. Quote, I spent absurd money, private bird money, that Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Bloomberg money, Combs raps. In 2015, months after Trump launched his presidential campaign, Combs told the Washington Post, Trump is a friend of mine. He works very hard. 2 months before 2016's victory, the rapper said on MSNBC, I think Black communities got shortchanged during the Obama presidency. And he added, Obama did an excellent job, however. So again, they go way back, just, sort of, flagellating one another on either side. It's absolutely disgusting and terrifying. And people are already trying to like tear down Cassie and be like, why didn't she leave this abusive relationship? I mean, you're seeing a similar sort of like Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, like weird, BS like play out. Obviously all the right-wing echo chambers love it. I think it's going to be even more awful as trial plays out and the real the machinery of the right's misogyny starts kicking into high gear and people start casting doubt on these victims and say they didn't actually experience what they experienced. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.